recruiters.
Hi. So, this is me. I know without a beard I look like a quirky teenager, but it's really just maybe 4.5, maybe 5 years ago. So back then, I started my very first job. I just finished my studies, and I wanted to have a job with lots of responsibility, and that's what I got. I had to take care of a lot of stuff I've never done before. Payroll stuff, employee law, hiring people, interviews, but also terminate contracts, fire people. So back then I thought, okay, that's quite tough stuff, so better keep your distance to your colleagues. You are HR, and the other people are just other departments, are just other teams. Thinking back, I must say that this thinking was my biggest mistake in my whole career. Why is that? Today I think as a recruiter or as an HR person, you are nothing without your network. I would say that for a recruiter or for any HR person, that the network is just the most important thing in your position, in your person, and for this role. So, well, you could say, okay, this guy says that networking is important, but I do some networking and that's enough. I don't really have to emphasize networking that much. But it's not just me. I think it's always an interesting sign if big consultant companies write articles about certain topics, because they don't do that for fun. They do that if there's money in the market, if it's really a big problem, and companies try to solve this problem. So I found this study by Deloitte called Talent Acquisition Revisited, Deploy New Approaches for the New Battlefield. You might remember this study by McKinsey, maybe 10 years ago, called recruiting war for talents. War for talents. So it has kind of the same topic, but it does not focus on the battlefield or the war itself, but it focuses how companies, how HR and recruiting can work on this topic. So what does the study say? Revamp your recruiting department. Build an employee brand. Treat recruiting like marketing, and maintain an active and deep candidate bench. What does it mean? You have to rethink recruiting from scratch, or you'll fail and fail and fail. You have to switch your mindset in recruiting from reactive recruiting to proactive recruiting. So if your hiring manager, if your MD comes to you with a new position and you want to begin your search at this very moment, it's far too late. If your hiring manager comes to you, you already have to have some candidates in mind that can fill this role. But how do you do that? Networking, again. Okay, so you could say, okay, those big consultant companies mostly work with bigger companies, with corporate companies. I think that might be a problem of the old economy. I think that's wrong. I think that the mindset of HR in most startups is just the very same, that most people in HR and recruiting in startups also still have a more reactive mindset. For instance, I took a look at some job posts. I just took some random job posts without a name, don't worry. So, what do you have to bring if you want to be a recruiter in Berlin, in the digital industry, in a startup? Okay, a degree, some work experience, empathy. You have to conduct interviews. You have to take care of contracts. And, well, employee law is important, and of course, MS Office. Don't get me wrong. All those points, all those bullet points are very important, and they are really a part of this job, I agree. But what makes them really sad is on all these job postings, you won't find the word networking. Let's take another example. I think this is how most of our offices look like. You have this huge space where just everyone is sitting, everyone but HR. HR has this little cave in the bottom of the map. Why is that? Okay, well, there are some pros for that, okay. Very important topic in Germany, data security. Well, of course, you shouldn't talk to a candidate about salary in the middle of this huge office. That's clear. Okay, I agree. You have a calm office, so if you work on your Excel files or stuff, that's quite nice. And, well, you can hang around on Facebook all day. Nobody notices. But I think there are also some cons. No one talks to you. Really. People will just come by if they need some help with paperwork. And you don't know what's happening in the business. So people will tell you, yeah, well, recruiting has to know how the business thinks. They have to try to understand the business. I think that's wrong. I think we don't have to understand the business. We have to be part of this business. And we won't be able to do that in our HR cave. I think most of you guys would agree that, well, a single channel approach with post and pray is a thing of the past. Well, okay, there might be some positions like mass hirings in customer service or logistics, something like that, where job posting still is the most important recruiting channel. But I think that even in those positions, you will get the best hirings through your network. Maybe not the most, but the best. So, okay, I hope at least some of you agree now that a network might be an important thing. So, how do you actually build that? First step, build your internal network. No, not only your HR colleagues. I mean, that's nice. Talk to them, go for lunch with them. That's a good first step, but don't stop there. Meet other people from a company. Tech people, product people, marketeers, and yes, even your founders. I think 95 to 99% of those people will be more than happy to have a cup of coffee with you and to tell you about their job, about their life. I think most people actually like to do that very much. But why should you do that? Sure, it's nice to get to know people, maybe you will make some friends, but that's not what I'm talking about. You will need these people. That starts at really some basics. For instance, if one of those people is your hiring manager, and you need the feedback, and you need it fast, because, well, this candidate is about to sign another contract. And you drop by at the desk of your hiring manager, I bet you will have a fast feedback if he knows you. But if he looks at you and thinks, hey, who's that guy? I don't even know you. Why should he give you feedback? Well, and of course another thing is, you might switch jobs in the future. They might switch jobs in the future. And those people can easily become candidates. Another thing, always ask them for more contacts. I think another thing that most people will be more than happy to do is introducing to their friends, to family, to former colleagues. If you ask them, look, I'm a recruiter, network is very important for me, can you name some contacts for me? Don't say, and I think it's really not an important thing to tell them, look, I need some more candidates, name me some candidates. That's not the same. Just ask for interesting contacts. So always keep networking. Of course, maybe I'm a bit preaching to the choir, but go to meetups. Not only HR meetups, there are marketing meetups, tech meetups, product meetups. I think you got the idea. Go to networking events like Spätschicht or Berlin Valley or Startup Employees. There are so many networking events here in Berlin. Sure, you can't visit every single event every day, but at least some. And of course, you can join cool organizations like that HR organization. I founded with some friends last year, but there are also some other cool organizations here in Berlin. So as I said before, the next step after you build your internal network is to build your external network, and you can start with the contacts of your contacts. Okay, so you might say, okay, now I know all those people, but all the people I've met actually do Java, but we do PHP. I don't need them. Okay, sure, you might not need them today, but your company might start a feature, might start a project with Java in the future. You might switch jobs to a company that does Java. Or some of your contacts may decide to learn a new programming language, for instance PHP, and might be really good in it. So, of course, you won't need all of your contacts today, but I'm pretty sure that you will need those contacts tomorrow. Okay, sounds great, right? Having breakfast with some marketing people, lunch with your founders, and, well, some beers in the evening with other contacts. Of course, it's not that easy. There are some obstacles. One is work. I know a recruiter is not only meeting people, drinking coffee, there's a lot of administrative work to do. Of course, if you have to conduct 10 interviews today and organize 5 other interviews for tomorrow, please do that first before you meet anyone for lunch. But I think, of course, there's a huge administrative part of your job, but you still should make sure that you still have a networking part in your job. And, well, some managing directors might say, I see you just on the administrative part of this job, but try to convince them. I mean, I think most of us, well, choose to become a recruiter because they like to talk to people. They like to convince people. And I think we do that every day in our interviews. So start to convince the people in your company, start to convince your management. Another obstacle is your private life, your personal life. Sure. As I said before, you can't visit an event every evening, every morning. You can't do that. Always keep a healthy work-life balance. Absolutely. But I think a good recruiter is someone who's always curious, who's always eager to learn. And I think it's also an enrichment for your personal, for your private life to go to these meetups, to learn about technology, to learn about marketing, to get to know people. I think that's the fun part of our job. So, what my point is for today, please don't be the lonely recruiter in the HR cave. Be the ultimate networking hub. Thank you. I'm Sergej. I'm recruiting manager for ProSieben. Questions? No questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Sergej. And also a big thank you to our 4 great speakers. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. And if you have any questions, feedback, suggestions for the next time, or even if you know someone that could be interesting for us, feel free to talk to us because we're looking for new speakers for our next meetup. And yeah, you're now invited to networking and drinks. And we hope you had a great evening tonight. and looking forward to seeing you next time maybe. Thank you.